Hey Group 4, so I'm here to make the vlog prompt for vlog number 9 for Group 4. So this week, I guess we didn't have like a vlog last week, so I'm going to touch on both the readings for this week and the ones for last week. So the one that we had for this week was the Learning Reconsidered, a campus-wide focus on student experience, mysteriously unauthored or not listed. I couldn't find it anywhere. And that was the reading for this week, and I guess I'm not going to focus too heavily on this one because while I was reading it, sorry Dr. York, but I was kind of like, what does this have to do with student development theory? It kind of seemed like it was taken, like the audience would have been like professors that didn't really were connected to like student development theory, maybe. Like, this is why you need to have programs. Like, I already know, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't think anyone in our program would be like, no, learning communities are bad. So, or like not understand why they would be important. So I'm not really going to focus on that one unless you like wanted to talk about it in your blog, like you thought it was very impactful or something. But I'm going to focus a little bit more on the Klitschy, I hope I'm saying that right, article, and the Gilligan article, which were both about moral development, I guess, or I guess this week was posted as being moral development, but it was kind of, I understood like near the end of it how it was connected to moral development. However, while I was reading it, it seemed more about like gender interaction, sort of. I think that's probably like a natural reading of that or something. So I've got a couple of questions for all of y'all. Let me pull them up here. Well, the first one was, I guess, to work in the article about ACPA, or the article for this week, what implications does that article have for higher education? I guess I kind of felt like it wasn't necessarily geared towards us, but what implications does it have for institutions as a whole? The next one is from the Klitschy article. In there, she does the vignette about the Abels and the Bakers, the relationships that they had. So my question is, how do we strike a balance between those two relationship pairs in the work that we do? And my last question would be coming from the A Woman's Place in a Man's Life one. It talks about Freud. So I guess that question would be, what systems at VSU are cut for men and don't adapt to women? So, all right, so I'm going to explain each of those. Well, the first one I kind of already explained, but the second one was how do we strike a balance between the Bakers and the Abels in the article that she presented. So in this, it talks about, on like the very last page, it sums it up pretty nicely, that the Abels had learned to avoid destructive conflict by treating each other as complements rather than enemies, whereas the Bakers' relationship was a source of growth. So in the Abels, they just like respected each other, and they're like, yeah, honey, I think you're great, and let's not discuss this. And in the Bakers' relationship, they kind of had like a more tumultuous, like fighting relationship. So how to strike a balance between this? In my work, I guess I see a lot of like roommate conflicts. So a way that I could strike a balance there would be striking a balance between like a roommate pair that, say, like acts like the Abels and never tells the other roommate that they, like, you know, need to do their dishes, or never like voices when they have a concern. They just sort of like have a mutual respect and don't really grow from that experience, versus the Bakers who you know, are constantly sort of like at odds with each other and are constantly pushing against one another. So a relationship that you can strike between that is helping residents to like figure out ways to have effective communication, to maybe challenge sometimes, but maybe not challenge all the time, and having those challenges in a respectful way. So when they're not not talking like the Ables, but they're not being aggressive in the way they're talking like the Bakers. So it's not like they're stagnant, but they're not doing too much growth. It's like a steady paced growth that's appropriate to the relationship. Okay, and I got that quote from page 84, but it starts a little bit before that. The next one that I had was, what systems at VSU would Freud say, based on this Gilligan article, were cut for men, like cut for the cloth of men, if that's right, if that's using that phrasing right, were cut for men, but don't fit women. So one thing that I pulled off, so in this, okay, so it talks about the relationship that children have in like the ways that they play as children. So in this, one thing that I thought of was orientation. So I'll put this in here. So in this, it's talking about boys who play in like large sports teams. Like I imagine boys playing like kickball or something, where it's competitive, it's a large sport, but everyone there are like a set number of rules and everyone has to follow them. And I see that as like a very masculine way of playing versus girls who would play in like small groups, who are much more likely to like make concessions and to be cooperative. And in this, I thought of orientation and how orientations are run, because typically those are done as like a large group. Everyone does like everything at the same time. Like when I worked for orientation, it was like, everyone's going to go on the scavenger hunt now. Now everyone's going to sign up for classes. Like it was very ordered. It was very structured. It was very much in like a large group, and describes very closely, I think, the way that the kickball scenario is set up, versus like being small and intimate and like individualized for the needs of people. So in that, it's really set up for like the little boy playing versus the little girl playing. So in my mind, that's how like a system that's currently in place is set up for masculine energy rather than feminine energy. So yeah, so my 3 questions, the ACPA article, what implications does that have for higher education? The next one was about the Bakers and Ables. How can we strike a balance between students and the work that we do? And the last one was, what systems at VSU are kind of like cut for men and don't really accommodate for women. So have a great week. I'll see you all in class on Tuesday. Bye.